In this video, I'll be photographing birds at my hide location, and I'll be using the OM1 and the 150-400 f4.5 lens. The aim of the video is to try to make bird pictures that look natural and to avoid the classic bird on stick images that camera club judges tend to dislike.
So in this video I'm going to be talking about bird feeders and bird tables. This is a cage feeder which I have set up here. A number of different feeders, peanut feeders, sunflower hearts, Niger seeds, all sorts here. And that's great, it attracts a lot of birds there. Some birds are actually happier coming to a bird table. The larger birds can't get into these sort of things here. So I use a small little bird table. Now you can buy these ornamental sort of bird tables from garden centres. They've got roofs on them, they look very pretty. For photography, waste of time really. So my bird table is one that I've knocked up at home, and anyone can do this. All you need is a few bits of plywood and a few screws. And basically it's very small, okay? It doesn't have a roof or anything. It only measures 5 inches there by 3.5 inches that way. The interesting thing about it is it's got arms on it. So I can actually sort of move these arms to any position that I want. I've got one there and one there. Okay, so with these arms, what I can actually do, and here I've got a nice bit of bramble. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is tape that onto this arm here. Now the arm's held on by a wing nut, so all I have to do is unloosen it. I can move it into any position that I want. And what I'm trying to do with this is actually with this bramble, is I'm actually trying to get away from the normal birds on stick pictures. Camera club judges really sort of hit them quite hard. So with this bit of bramble, I've got some leaves in there and it looks a lot more natural. So what I'll do is I'll put some food onto the bird table. The birds are either going to be coming in from over there or over there. That way is far too open. They've not got any cover there, so they'll be coming from this direction. Some will fly straight onto the bird table, but if you get a lot of birds coming down like I have here, the thing is that they're going to queue up. There'll be some landing there. Some birds don't like being in each other's space, so what will happen is birds will perch up on here. Now this little bit of sort of vegetation here, you really need an open space for it to actually sort of a bird to sit there. So what I'm going to do is just remove that one, and now I've got a nice bit here which is framed up by the bramble leaves and that sort of thing, and should make quite a nice picture. At the end of this actual bramble there, and you can see it in the video, there's actually some nice blackberries there. So what I could do actually again is to cut that off and put it on a post and see if I can get them to land on there. That would be quite nice. But this little bird table is mobile. I can pick it up and move it into any position. And what I've done is the actual length of the actual bird table, the stem of the bird table, I've gaffer taped onto a post that's set in a plastic bucket that's full of dry concrete. So the concrete is set. All I have to do is you know, move this around, and the nice thing about it is that I can move it backwards, forwards, left or right or wherever without having to dig it up and start putting another post in the ground. So we'll go into the hide and see what we're going to get.
Obviously, when you use the bird table, you need to take all the other bird feeders away so that the birds can only come to the food that's on the actual table. This picture does not work as well as the previous image because the legs of the great tit are behind the bramble leaf. This is something that will happen from time to time, so it is best to wait until there is a bird in a clear opening on the bramble. In this picture of a blue tit, the bird was facing away from me, but it turned its head to look back towards the hide. Although I was shooting at the widest aperture of the 150-400, I could still get both the tail and the head sharp because of the extra depth of field that you get with Olympus cameras and lenses. In this picture you can see that I have attached the clump of blackberries onto one of the arms of the bird table. Because the arms are easily positioned by adjusting the wing nut, it gives the birds an attractive perch to land on. Here is a shot of a great tit, and in this one a shot of a goldfinch.
The big advantage of this 150 to 400 is it gives you one hell of a range. On an old system that would be the equivalent of a 300 to 800mm zoom. Plus you've got the fact that it's got a built-in 1.4 converter, so you can actually just increase the focal length to 1000 really. But it's 4.5 throughout the range and it's sharp all the way through, so it's a fantastic lens, although obviously it's very expensive, but certainly it's a real game changer for me as far as bird photography. So this idea is really an extension of the bird table bramble idea, but this time I'm not using bird table, I'm using this sunflower heart feeder. Normally speaking, this feeder will actually have a cage over it so that the bigger birds, the rooks, the jays, that sort of thing, can't get in there. Only the small birds are. What I've done for photography is I've taken the cage off, okay, and what I've also done is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feeding stations or posts on this feeder. 4 of them I've taped up. So now that we're reduced to actually only 2 openings, one here and one here. So that limits the number of birds that can actually feed at a time. Normally speaking, the number of birds we get coming in here will have quite a lot coming in there, and they use all the feeding pots, openings and that sort of thing. But here, because there's only 2 openings, what will happen is once you've got one there, once you've got one here, the birds have got to queue up. And here, with this particular bit of bramble, you've got a nice opening there. So what I'm ideally looking for is not cropping in too tightly. I want to actually include some of the vegetation, the bramble, so it looks more natural. But here, there was actually a bit coming out here, but I just snipped that off. And providing that I sort of don't frame it too tightly, I should get quite a nice shot there. And we'll see how it goes. So with this setup for the bramble, what I've done is I've actually poked this end of it into the actual feeder here. But bramble's not particularly strong, it's not like a twig or a branch or anything like that. And it will, if you don't have some support this end, what will happen is it will droop down. You want that sort of nice angle there. So what I've actually done is I actually supported it with a lighting stand that I've gaffer taped on there. So what I'll do is I'll go in the hide and see what we can get. So we're getting lots of birds coming in, and because there's only sort of 2 openings on that feeder, there's a lot of swabbering going on. You can probably hear them. Particularly goldfinches are really very argumentative and they're really having a scrap. But had lots of blue tits, great tits, robins, goldfinches. I saw a nuthatch for the first time a little while ago. I haven't seen that one there. There's chaffinches. There will be long-tailed tits. I haven't seen them yet, but they are coming yesterday. First you'll know long-tailed tits are about is that there'll be this spluttering sound. They tend to go around in groups, and they all went off just then like a rocket. And the reason is that there's a sparrowhawk about. I was here yesterday and the sparrowhawk came through twice, didn't actually catch anything, but because there's such a lot of small birds here coming to the feeders, for the sparrowhawk it's just dead easy. One mistake I think I have made with that bramble is that I haven't got it long enough. It's a little bit too short. So what I will probably do is get out there and change it so there's a longer bit on there, because there's only really one space I can actually photograph them.
In this clip you can see that I've changed the shorter bramble for a longer piece. On this length of bramble there are 2 clear spaces where I had removed leaves, and in this it allows me to get a shot with both a blue tit and a great tit posing nicely. Here I am showing two short video clips of blue tit and great tit. You can see how they have to wait their turn because two openings of the feeder already have birds on them. For a period it did cloud over and started to rain. Providing that I'm warm and dry in the wooden hide, I quite enjoy photographing birds in the rain. It gives you a different image with the streaks of rain in the picture and can look quite effective. You must obviously increase the ISO to be able to get a reasonable shutter speed. By varying the shutter speed and reviewing on the LCD screen on the back of the camera, you can decide on which shutter speed is giving the desired effect. Generally speaking, I would start off at 400th a second and then decide if I need to increase or decrease the shutter speed depending on the results. I was very pleased when this nuthatch turned up and had to wait its time in the queue. The streaks of rain add an extra element to the image and proved to be my favourite shot from the session. It's important to constantly change the perches. You do not want to have the same bit of bramble in every shot. In this image I've changed the perch to a branch from an oak tree. The oak leaves help to make the image more photogenic, especially when you have a long-tailed tit posing in the right position. In this shot I was fortunate to get two long-tailed tits at the same time. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Feel free to watch some of my other videos on my YouTube channel and subscribe to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching.